Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles and cousins, of course, and mops and pops, or if you prefer the more proper, grandmothers and grandfathers, and baseball fans everywhere. Welcome to this edition of the Valley Baseball League podcast. Boy, do we have a show for you. Hello, everyone. My name is Graham Knight. I'm here on behalf of the Valley Baseball League and all the teams in the league. Yes, we do wish we were bringing you baseball games instead of podcasts, but we know you baseball junkies out there all need your baseball fix, so here it comes. Yesterday, we did a little field trip. We took off to Catcher's U. Had a great time talking to Dan Jaffe. Really appreciate his time there. Day before, we were in LSU. Hey, this is Eddie Smith. Nobody's won more championships, and nobody's been to Omaha more times than LSU. Well, guess where we're going today? UVA. Guess why we're going there? 1990 Harrisonburg Turk. That's why. All right, I'm not going to tell you anything else. Joe's going to connect the dots for you, but let me set the stage. 1990 Harrisonburg Turks, 2020 UVA. You'll figure it out in a few minutes. Before we do, a programming note. We managed to catch Ryan Facto, who is the pitching coach at Virginia Tech. I know a little rivalry there, Virginia UVA versus Virginia Tech. But here's the deal. 2009, Haymarket. I think it was the Haymarket Senators. I'm going to have to check. But anyway, tomorrow we'll connect the dots between 2009 Haymarket Senators. I'm just going to call them that. Sue me if I'm wrong. I'll give you the email address if you want to complain. VB League at isomermedia.com. VB League at isomermedia.com. Let me know. I love hearing from you. So any ideas you have, send them. Okay? All right. So today is UVA and 1990 Harrisonburg Turk. And tomorrow is 2009 Haymarket Senators and Virginia Tech. All right. And then on Friday, guys, we're bringing you Sam Perlazzo. Come on, man. Tell me we're not stepping it up here. All right, enough about our programming notes. Now it's time to get into the UVA interview. And please, please, please note Joe's wardrobe. The guy's been working it. Yeah, he's got the UVA colors on. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Graham. And it is definitely a real pleasure to be here with Brian O'Connor, the head baseball coach at the University of Virginia. Brian, thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys.
Well, the honor is all ours. Now, I know that the professors at UVA certainly don't take Wikipedia as a source for any work that needs credit, but I'm going to go ahead and read from your Wikipedia page. I got to say, you're the only guy I've ever interviewed that has his own Wikipedia page. But your list of awards and accomplishments is extensive here. Collegiate Baseball Perfect Game National Coach of the Year from 2015. The NCBWA Collegiate Baseball Insider.com National Coach of the Year 09. College Baseball Foundation Coach of the Year 2006. And the Atlantic Region Coach of the Year in 04, five-time ACC Coach of the Year, and of course, coach of the 2015 national champion UVA Cavaliers. Congratulations on all that. Did I get all that right?
Well, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of publications out there that hand out Coach of the Year awards. So thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Been fortunate here at the university to have a lot of great players, a lot of great teams, great assistant and loyal assistant coaches. So been fortunate and we're proud of the work that we've done here.
Well, I can only imagine the pride, that you guys have there for the program that you've built and the success that you've had, obviously. And here we're talking here today in the middle of April. You're not out on the field, obviously, because of the pandemic and the situation around that. As a lifelong baseball guy, how tough has this been for you?
Well, it's certainly been challenging, in my after my playing days and my professional career as a coach. Every spring been involved in a 60-game schedule at a Division I school and playing baseball this time of the year and coaching. And it's unfortunate. Obviously, the entire world's dealing with this and the adjustments that need to be made. So it's difficult, but we're making do and doing things like this and reaching out to people and talking to our players. And I just got off the phone, an hour-long phone conversation with one of our players and talking about the future and moving forward.
So you're staying busy and still talking ball through all this, huh?
Yeah, we are. Just again talking to our players, still doing recruiting, doing what we can. We have weekly staff meetings on our coaching staff, talking about what can we be doing right now to prepare ourselves to come out of this pandemic and to be successful. So still keeping busy, doing a lot of podcasts, doing a lot of interviews and things, talking baseball, also learning too. There's some great opportunities out there, Joe, to where at night, things like that. There's some podcasts and some things that are being done online where coaches are sharing information and getting better during this time.
Yeah. And just looking forward to next season, with the change in the eligibility rules that the NCAA obviously granted players an extra year of eligibility, how does that affect the team you're going to put on the field next year, as well as the pipeline, so to speak, for rising high school seniors and other prospects into the system that you guys are putting together?
Well, it's going to have a little bit of an impact, Joe. Not much. A lot is to be made of it over social media and things like that. It kind of depends on the makeup of your roster, but I do think baseball is a little bit different than the other sports that are dealing with this, in that we have the Major League Draft and we have our players that aspire to go on and chase their professional careers. So, a lot of these players that get this extra year of eligibility back from the season won't end out using it, because they'll end out entering professional baseball before they will ever use that so-called fifth year of eligibility. And then you have some players that, are just after being 4 years at school, they're ready to go on and maybe it's not in baseball and start a job out there. So we'll have a couple of seniors that will return back on next year's team that we didn't anticipate, obviously, and so we'll make the necessary adjustments for that to happen. And I'm just happy those players have the opportunity to come back and play college baseball for one more season.
And Brian, another aspect of the eligibility change is here on the VBL side in the college summer league conversation. We've had a number of coaches in our league that have said that this change in eligibility is really going to allow them to field a much more high caliber team in the summer of 2021. What have you seen around that aspects of it?
Well, I would assume it was. It's going to. I think you're going to see kind of a cumulative effect in all of baseball, this change of this year, and also I think that the Major League Baseball draft, the changes of that could really potentially help the quality of the summer leagues as well, because I think you're going to probably see less players enter professional baseball and go into college baseball or continue on in college baseball for another year. So I think there will be a cumulative effect in everything with regards to baseball with some of these changes that have been made. So, we'll see. I just, it's unfortunate that, the Valley League is not going to happen this summer, and I anticipate the same thing happening with the other summer leagues. But totally understand, and we got to get through this, and hopefully when we come out of it, the back end of it, like you talk about, and those other coaches have talked about, hopefully we're even better next summer because of it.
Yeah. And before we go any further, I should point out that you yourself you played in the Valley League for the Harrisonburg Turks. It was remind me what year you were, or years you were in the league.
I was actually in the league. I played for Harrisonburg after my freshman year in college, and so it was the summer of 1990, quite some time ago. I was in Harrisonburg, so it was really a great experience, Joe. I've got so much to talk about how great of an experience it was. Being a Midwest born and raised and playing college baseball in the Midwest at Creighton, coming out to Virginia. It was my first time ever on the East Coast. First time in the state of Virginia was that summer that I came out to Harrisonburg, and so it was an awesome experience. I'm so grateful to Bob Weiss for him giving me the opportunity to come out and play in the great league and have the experience. And I really grew up a lot that summer.
Well, I'm sure you had a phenomenal time, and I would love to hear some of those stories. Bob Weiss is, of course, a legend in the Valley Baseball League. We talked to him for one of our earlier podcasts, and we might get a chance to talk to him again today. But what sticks out in your mind as from that summer, do you have was there a particular moment that stands out as you were saying, that's where you learned a life lesson that helped your baseball career, or you met someone or had a piece of advice that stuck with you?
Well, I just really, Joe, I think it was the entire experience being out here for the whole summer. It was my first time away from home for a long, extended period of time. I had a job every morning. I worked on the street crew, and we painted lines in the city of Harrisonburg. Early in the morning, getting up, painting street lines. I'll tell you, by the time I got to the ballpark in the afternoon, I was worn out, but my body adjusted to it, and I needed it to work. I needed the income, and just meeting a lot of great guys, from across the country, and all being together and being in this new place, in this new state, in this part of the country that had never been before. Was just a remarkable experience. And going out, being able to work every morning and going out every night and competing on the field and trying to win and get better was just an awesome experience. And I remember one of the days we had off. A bunch of us guys had actually made the trek into Washington, D.C. I had never been to Washington, D.C. before, so it was my first experience. Going to our nation's capital and seeing all that. And so just so many great memories, and playing for Bob and competing as a Turk was a lot of fun.
I want to hear a Bob Weiss story. Do you have one that stands out to you from those days playing for Bob?
Well, it took me some time, being born and raised in the Midwest and going to college there, being out to Virginia for a while. It took me a while to figure out. I thought for a while, Joe, he was calling me by the wrong name. He was saying Brian, and I thought he was calling me Brad, and I kept saying, Bob, my name's Brian. And so it just took me some time to get used to that a little bit. But he was great. I'll tell you one thing about Bob Weiss. He's a competitor. Wants to win. And is there for his guys, and wants to compete every night, and wants his team to be successful. And I remember there was a diner. This was back in 1990. There was a diner that we got to eat at, like lunch every day, and it was the most amazing food. We go in this diner, and I think it was just called the Diner. I'm not sure, but it was just part of the great experience and meeting these guys from across the country.
Yeah. And now, as the head coach of a major Division I baseball program at UVA, thinking again about summer leagues, tell me, and not necessarily VBL particularly, but how do summer leagues play into how you and your staff nurture your players and bring them up and improve their skills and help them as a coach?
Well, Joe, I think it's a really important part of their development. Certainly, there's the baseball aspect of it, right? They get a lot more at bats. They get a lot more innings. Every guy that comes and plays in our program, they dream and aspire to play at the highest level, and that's professional baseball. Well, if you want to play a professional baseball season, you combine the college season and a good summer league season. Well, that's a pro season. So they need to get used to that routine of playing that many games. So there's the baseball piece of it, the development. But more importantly than that, I think it's them getting out of their comfort zone, going to live somewhere for a couple of months, maybe having a host family, maybe not, living on their own in an apartment, whatever the situation might be, making their own decisions as part of their development, away from their college coaches, away from their parents. I just think it's an important part of the development of the young men at this pivotal time in their life. See, Joe, as you know, the normal student out there in the summer has the opportunity to go do internships in different places. Well, this is those internships for a college baseball player. And I think reflect on my time in Harrisonburg. I grew up a lot. Part of this maturization process is making mistakes, right? And making decisions and doing things right and making some wrong decisions too, and learning and growing from that. And so I'm so fond of my time there in Harrisonburg, but also too, I spent one summer in Alaska, played in the Alaska League, and
Wow.
just having those opportunities wherever they're at to develop relationships, to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and so that's why we haven't historically, since I've been the coach here in Virginia, we haven't sent a lot of players to the Valley League because 60% of our roster is from Virginia, right? And
Mhm.
part of this is, I believe, these kids going out and getting away from home and getting out of their comfort zone and figure things out a little bit, right? And so that is, for me, half the value in having this experience. And maybe they have it like I did, where they go work on a road crew every morning and work for a paycheck and then play baseball at night. I just think it's a great part of that baseball internship that they have the opportunity to do in the summer.
Well, that's a quite an elegant way of phrasing it. I'm going to tell everybody else I talk to that that's how you describe it, because
Yeah.
that's a really great way of describing it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you were instrumental in getting the Charlottesville Tom Sox into the league. Is that correct?
Well, I was involved in it. There were conversations over a number of years that I'd had with different baseball people in our community about bring outside of Virginia baseball, bringing baseball back to Charlottesville in the summer. So there were different conversations, Joe, actually, with people that had interest of bringing a minor league team here at one point, and that just didn't materialize. And a friend of mine here in town, Jeff Burton, who I've known for a long time as a former Virginia baseball player. I met him early in my time, 17 years ago, becoming the coach here. Him and I had numerous conversations about the possibility of having a Valley League team in Charlottesville. And, one thing led to another. He talked to a group of people here in town, had some meetings with the Valley League president and whatnot. And, lo and behold, a few years ago, it came to fruition, and we now have Valley League baseball here in Charlottesville. And I think it's great. It's an opportunity after our season's over for the baseball enthusiasts here in town to support Valley League baseball. It's an opportunity for these kids from across the country to come here to be in Charlottesville and have the host families and have the experience of being here in Charlottesville. So I think it's wonderful, and I'm proud of what the Charlottesville team has accomplished in the short period of time.
Yeah, champions in 2019.
Just want to interrupt the conversation for just a quick second, long enough to remind you guys to subscribe, like, and share us, and also to ask you to send your comments to us. You can put them on the comment page with YouTube. You can put them on the Facebook page for the Valley League. You can email them to us at vbleague@isomermedia.com. That's vbleague@isomermedia.com. All right, before we get back to the conversation, I do want to promote one of our star sponsors of the Valley Baseball League live streams, Grace Burrows. Without Grace, we would not have been able to do the live streams these past 2 years. She was all signed up to sponsor this year. She even wrote a book. Imagine that. She's got like 70 out there. So if you haven't read any of them, maybe this is the first one. Take a look. All right. Got to thank Grace for everything she does. And as I said last night in the video podcast, Last year, we were promoting Grace by saying best-selling or New York Times best-selling author Grace Burrows. If you can't find love on the baseball diamond, look no further than graceburrows.com. Hey, but if you're finding love on the baseball diamond in this pandemic, we want to hear from you. Here's that email address again, vbleague at isomermedia.com, vbleague at isomermedia.com. Anyway, if that's the case, I know you have a story. All right, let's get back to baseball. Baseball, come on, focus, everybody. Here's Joe once again.
And you are you one of those baseball fans that after your seat as owner go sit in the stands and watch some good ball?
Well, I've been to a few games here in Charlottesville. I'm gone for a good part of the summer out recruiting
Yeah.
and doing things like that. So, but I am able to catch a few games. We have had a few of our players
Right.
on the Sox team, and it's been kind of a good fit just because in most cases they're guys that need to take maybe a summer school class to get ahead or take something for the particular major, so it allows them to take a class at UVA and then still play in a very highly competitive league. So I do get out. I actually, during my time here, I have been to a game in Harrisonburg in the summer. I've been a game in Staunton in the summer at various places for different reasons.
Yeah, Staunton. It's pronounced like a true Midwesterner.
Yeah.
Um, so as a head coach now, and before I have to ask, this is totally out of just curiosity. How is it in college ball? Your position is referred to as the head coach, where through everywhere else in baseball, you're called the manager. And is it interchangeable, or do you prefer one or the other?
You know what? In college, I prefer a coach. And maybe in professional baseball, it's considered a manager. I just feel like we wear so many different hats as a college baseball coach, right? We're the recruiter, we're the player development, we're the coach on the field. We have so many different responsibilities, and obviously I'm sure you all know where it comes from as far as in baseball, the fact that we wear a uniform. We're
Right.
just so different than other coaches in other sports. I mean, you just think about it. If Tony Bennett was wearing the basketball uniform sitting on the bench, or Bronco Mendenhall was wearing shoulder pads and a helmet, right, coaching the football team. Baseball is just such a different thing in that we're just so involved from the day of the game responsibilities, whether it's throwing, batting practice and all the pregame work, and everything that goes along with it. And, as you know, Joe, at one time, the coaches also used to be players.
Right.
They were player managers, they were player coaches. And there's just something great about putting on that uniform every day, getting out on the field with those guys and helping them
Yeah.
get.
I've got visions of Mike Krzyzewski in shorts and a tank top. Yeah. Yeah. So back to thinking about college summer ball and your role as a collegiate head coach. How do you know when a player is right for a college league, and maybe or does it come from the players more so than from you? What do you look for? Do you recommend this league versus that league for certain players? And how does the Valley League fall into those conversations?
Well, I mean, I feel like the Valley League is very, very good. The talent is good in the league. There's been some coaches in the league and for quite some time. The fact that a lot of the towns that host teams have existed for a long period of time is important. You have that continuity. Another reason why the Valley League is so great is that the travel is reasonable, right? In some of the leagues, the travel can be it could be very, very significant. So that's a great advantage for the Valley League as well. There's a lot of things that go into what leagues or teams that we send players to, and other college coaches do as well. Part of it is those teams or leagues recruit those players because maybe they knew about the players from professional scouts or what might be, or there might be pre-existing relationships that we've had for years with the particular team in a certain league that, they've taken care of our players, they've treated them right, and so we continue every year to send 2, 3, or 4 players back to that particular team. And so, there's a variety of reasons that we, as college baseball coaches, send players to particular leagues or particular situations. And, you're looking for consistency, right? Part of it is you want your players to go out and develop, and you want them to be have the right resources and treated right. And you feel when you have those places, you continue to send players to them. So, but the Valley League stacks right up there with the best of them. And, like I said, we're in a unique situation because we are a local team in the state of the Valley League. And, for the most part, my personal feeling is, like I said before, of sending them out to a place that they're not used to and giving them a different, unique experience, getting out of their comfort zone, so-called. And I think that's part of their development that they need.
Yeah. So do you find yourself more often going to a player and saying, look, you're on the cusp of maybe potentially being drafted, go play over the summer in one of the leagues, I'll help you find a spot? Or is it more of players coming to you and say, hey, coach, I need more ABs, I need to get more innings under my belt, help me find a spot?
Yeah, it's a combination. It happens through conversations. Most of the time it's directed by us. That I really believe, unless it's an rehab situation, injury, or a academic situation, everybody needs to go out and be playing in the summer league. Sometimes pitchers that have a high inning load for us, we might not have them pitch in the summer because of the amount of innings they pitch for us. But that's pretty rare, and it's more directed by us trying to find the right fit for them to get at bats or innings depending on where they're at in their particular development.
Brian, I just wanted to point out to you that just from your time playing in Harrisonburg, people haven't forgotten. We had a commenter who goes by the name Valley Baseball Scout on our YouTube channel. He commented on one of our podcasts. He says, great stuff. I remember going to Turks games in the early to mid 90s. A few of my favorite players were Mike Hubbard, Larry Mitchell, John Alaya, John Zuber, and even UVA head coach Brian O'Connor. Trying to track down a name of this guy, but how's that for you?
Well, that's quite interesting. He listed some pretty good players there. There's been just so many great players that have played in this league. A lot of great players that played in Harrisonburg. I believe like maybe in the mid to late 90s, Juan Pierre played in Harrisonburg. There's been a lot of guys that have been big leaguers and had great careers that have played in the league. And so it's nice to know that somebody remembers you. Hopefully it was for good things and not bad things. But it was. I enjoyed my experience. And one of the guys that was a teammate of mine that summer 1990 was Tom Walters, the Wake Forest head coach. The two of us were teammates together on that team. So really cool. Some of the memories you get through that experience.
I bet, baseball obviously is a pretty tight knit group nationwide between on the amateur side and the through the minors and up into the pros and into the majors, obviously too. Everybody, you guys have all either played with or against each other for many years, decades even.
Yeah, some of the great memories and some of the relationships that you get to develop through these times is memorable, and sometimes you make the connections later on. Like I know Larry Mitchell, pitched in Harrisonburg, I believe in 1991, and I know Larry today. He lives here in Charlottesville, and so you have some of those relationships and those memories that are 25, 30 years down the road. It's one of the many great things about this game of baseball. And seeing Bob Weiss, after being there that summer in 1990, I didn't know if I'd ever come back to the state of Virginia. I didn't know if I'd ever see Bob Weiss again, right? And over the last 17 years to see him, whether it's at a summer league game or he'll come over sometimes to our games over here at Virginia, or when we're over playing JMU over the mountain, he'll stop by and say hello. And this game of baseball through many different ways, but one of them being the Valley League and the summer baseball kind of brings us together and develops relationships that are long lasting.
Absolutely. One final question, and I meant to ask this earlier in the conversation when we were talking about the VBL and the team specifically, but if the VBL were to go to a 12th team, we stand at 11 right now. Is there a town or city here in this part of Virginia that you think would be ripe for supporting a Valley Baseball League team?
Oh boy, good question. I haven't. I'll tell you what, I haven't given that much thought at all.
Well,
I like to see something down more southern Virginia. Maybe down south of us. Maybe could there be potentially something in Lynchburg or something in Danville or something like that. There's some great communities down there that love baseball.
I understand you played in Martinsville. Is that correct?
I did, yeah. I was a former Martinsville Philly. I spent a summer there. I was drafted by Philadelphia and played there in the summer. So yeah, something down south of Charlottesville would be, I think a nice addition to the league. Now I know that would mean farther travel for Winchester and whatnot, but the state of baseball in Virginia has really grown, Joe. In my 17 years here, I've seen the development of it. Has really improved at all levels, high school level, college level. You think about the amount of Division I colleges in our state that offer Division I baseball is pretty remarkable compared to a lot of states out there. So there's a lot of people playing baseball, a lot of great baseball.
Well, and you provide a lot of it there as the head coach of the UVA Cavaliers in Charlottesville. Brian O'Connor, thank you very much for joining us. A real treasure to have you with us today. This conversation is going to be archived on the annals for a long time. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
All right, sports fans, this concludes our tour, a field trip to UVA. Really grateful for Joe Harmon's work and for Brian O'Connor making time for us. Wow, such a small world, from the 1990 Harrisonburg Turk to the 2020 championship coach at UVA. How cool is that? Anyway, tomorrow we're going to bring you Ryan Facto. He is the pitching coach at Virginia Tech. He's got some stories for you. He's a Valley League champion coach himself. He's got some good insight on team building and things like that. So join us tomorrow night when the field trip goes from UVA to Virginia Tech. Just a reminder, Friday we got Sam Perlazzo. Join us for that. And this weekend we are going to bring you some of the heroic moments from the Valley League, trying to bring you some baseball every weekend. And this weekend, when you think of baseball heroics, you might think about the guy who jumps 20 feet over the outfield fence to catch the ball in the second deck and somehow save the play and rob the hitter of a home run. I know that's what you think of. Or you think about the guy sliding into home plate and hitting the catcher and bouncing off because it was probably felt better to dive headfirst into a brick wall. Yeah, this isn't the kind of heroics I'm talking about. I'm talking about a team who at the end of the season with only 9 players came out to play a doubleheader because they weren't going to forfeit. I'm talking about a team who went to the last game of the season last year with only 10 players and almost won and went on to the playoffs, the championship round. Anyway, that's the kind of heroics I'm talking about. So we're going to bring that to you this weekend. Tomorrow, we got Ryan Facto, Friday, Sam Perlazzo, and then some heroics. And then we're going to work our way. We're working towards major league players. Long story there. Not going to share any details just yet. Keep your fingers crossed. And we'll be back with you tomorrow night. On behalf of Joe Harmon, the Valley Baseball League, and the teams in this league, I'm Graham Knight, wishing you all perfect health and a speedy return to the baseball diamond. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks again for watching.